Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott Govitz. I am the Associate Vice President of Workforce and Economic Development at Mid-Michigan College, and I'm a volunteer for the flood relief efforts here in Gladwin County. I am speaking today with Jill Sutton, who is the CEO of the Mid-Michigan Community Action Agency located in Clare County, but covering Gladwin County. And Jill and her group are deeply involved in the flood recovery efforts as well. Jill, welcome. Thanks for being here today to help us understand what you're doing through the Community Action Agency.
Thanks, Scott. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. So we have been working together on the flood through something called the Long-Term Recovery Effort, or committee. Why don't we begin with talking about what that committee is and what the role and responsibility of the committee is to the flood recovery effort.
Okay. Yeah, I was asked to help coordinate this committee as a local nonprofit agency that cares about the people here in Gladwin County and want to help with the relief efforts. There's a two-part process to the flood, and one is the response, which thank goodness we have everybody out safely and beginning to clean homes, and the next part is recovery, and that's where we're at. In this committee, there's many members, yourself included, people that are from the faith-based organizations, nonprofits, state agencies, volunteers, just wonderful people that are getting together often on our Zoom room calls, as we call them, to talk about what do we need to do next. And so we've formed some committees, everything from communications to volunteer coordination to financial resources to help our households. And then there's more for case management to work one-on-one with families. So everything, and then also we'll be having some emotional and spiritual support along the way too. But every committee is working on their part. One of the areas I'm working on right now is identifying financial resources that are going to be available to the community.
So the committee will be in place for as long as it needs to be until people are sort of back on their feet and a lot of these problems with individual homeowners is resolved.
That is correct. It's my understanding that we're looking at probably 6 months to a year, unfortunately. Or more if we need to, but I'm hoping that we have some of that rebuild and recovery stuff done as soon as possible.
Okay, so I had a flood issue, let's say, and I picked up the phone and I called 211. You then have my information and you're going to take that information and react to my needs?
Yes, that's part of it.
Okay.
Part of the 211 is getting it reported so that we can use that information to determine what are all of the needs. But we will be asking people to do like a pre-application at our agency. We have some federal funds that will be help some families that meet income eligibility, but there's also going to be the relief fund that's been put together by the Gladwin Community Foundation.
Okay.
And we've had many donations from area individuals, businesses. We're going to be continuing to accept donations. So those dollars will be used for families that may not fit some of the grant criteria. Of course, the community is still waiting on the FEMA. We all would like to see them here and give us some financial support, but knowing that that could be a long time or sooner or later, we don't know.
Right.
We want to get people started now. So we are looking at all federal resources that we can gather together, state resources, local donations, and donations can not just be financial. They could be volunteer time, they could be building supplies. I know we've had some great opportunities to have food and water, other items that families needed, and cleaning out kits and things. Those are all fabulous, but now we're into recovery. And so now we need to look at those long-term things about the building. I know that there's things like drywall and all of the things. We just received some supplies for mold remediation. So that's still part of the response effort, but those supplies are coming in this weekend.
Oh,
so
good.
Volunteers can access that through the distribution site at Sacred Heart, or local residents can pick that up themselves.
Okay.
There's instructions for those that are able to do that work.
So it always starts with a call to 211 generally, and then that will get eventually to you and your team.
Yes, and we want 211 because they have knowledge of all programs and services, and so that's what we're trying to do is screen who needs what at this point. We're trying to track it on a database so that we don't lose anybody, or we can keep track of whose homes have already been mucked out, or who's had the mold remediation, who's ready for rebuild.
All right.
And so we're trying to find out what services are needed for each household, because it's different for each family.
Right, and so as you look at those needs, you have, as you mentioned, grants set aside. There are funds that are still being accepted to the Community Foundation and United Way to help the relief effort, and then your team will help to distribute those funds to needy households in the community. So they need to connect with 211, and then connect with you. They'll do paperwork. and then you will react to that paperwork to assist.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, because we're still identifying the financial resources, we're not able to assist everybody right this moment.
Okay.
But we're getting that list put together, who has the biggest needs, who qualifies for some of the grant resources because they do have maybe income eligibility or other vulnerable household eligibility that we have to look at. But once we get a plan out there, our group, actually our finance group is meeting on Monday, and we're going to try to set our priorities so that we can start spending some of the money. We have some in our hands, so we're ready. But we were just waiting for our local leadership to make sure that we were ready to start doing some rebuild, making sure that, a lot of people are looking at water issues, so we want to make sure that we do it well and we do it right.
Okay.
So we've been waiting for some guidance, but I think we're getting closer, but donations are always going to be welcomed. I just heard last night that there's a fundraiser going on, that people are doing, I think it was a music something going on, and I heard that they're going to contribute some money to the fund, and so anything that people can do to help us out.
Okay.
Because we don't have enough money to help everybody at this point, but we will do everything we can to find more resources.
Great. Well, why don't we just finish with the fact that you mentioned mold remediation. And with the mold remediation, if I have the house is sort of tore apart now, but yet now I need to deal with the mold, what do I do? Where do I go? And how are you involved?
Okay. The best thing to do would be to call the distribution center or stop by there. I know that they're open 3 days a week, and I think part-time on Saturday.
And that's
That's at Sacred Heart, I believe.
in Gladwin.
Yep, in Gladwin. And so they can either pick up the supplies or request a volunteer that can do the work. I know there's a group of volunteers coming to town this weekend, but they'll be with us hopefully for the next week or two to finish up that part, because that has to be done before we can start any rebuild or work on the house itself.
Okay.
But we do have some people already looking at some of the homes. I know I've had staff out, and we're starting to do some assessments of what we can get done with what we do have to work with.
Great. Anything we missed, Jill, that you wanted to touch base on?
No, I just hope that people can just hang with us. We're getting the help we need. We have a fabulous committee. We've got some great support from the state level that are giving us lots of consulting and bringing us things we never knew we could have, like the mold materials.
Right.
Those were free. We've got some technology that has come into the community to make people able to connect. So that has come into us for free. So we're just thankful for all the people we're meeting along the way and that care about the residents in Gladwin County. And so we're on a roll here, and just are hoping that our committees can continue to work at the pace they are, and the help is out there.
Terrific. We've been talking with Jill Sutton, the CEO of the Mid-Michigan Community Action Agency, and Jill and her team working on flood relief recovery. And we appreciate her being a part of the effort and being here today. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you. Appreciate it.